Good evening and welcome to the April 27th regular meeting of the Rochester Hills City Council. At this time, I'll ask the recording secretary to take roll.
President Carlock.
Here.
Vice President Mangioli.
Here.
Mr. Blair.
Here.
Mr. Lindberg.
Here.
Ms. Menino.
Here.
Ms. Neubauer.
Here.
Mr. Skelsey.
Here.
President Carlock, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And if everybody will rise, the Youth Council will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda. I have a...
Yes. Which button do I push?
Vice President Mangioli.
So, President Carlock, I would like to move item 2026-0193, move it up on the agenda right after 2026-0192. Both have similar concepts, and I wanted to talk about them at the same time. So with that amendment, I would move to amend the motion.
I have a motion to amend the agenda to move item 2026-0193 up to the one after item 2026-0192. Have a motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Blair seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we have an agenda for tonight. Next up, Council and Youth Committee reports. We'll start off with our Youth Council representative, Sid Shett.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, Mayor Barnett, council members, and citizens of Rochester Hills. My name is Sid, and I'm a senior at Stony Creek High School. I'm in my 4th year of serving.
Should have been applause right there.
Yes. This is my 4th year of serving on the Rochester Hills Government Youth Council, and I also serve on the Planning Commission. This past month, Youth Council was proud to have hosted their annual cultural fair on Saturday, April 18th, and we were glad to see many council members in attendance. We were proud to welcome over 600 attendees to view several performances, sample foods, and connect with several cultural organizations. We are also extremely grateful for our sponsors and Rochester Christian University for hosting the event. This upcoming month, we are excited to be volunteering at Oak in the Hills and debriefing on the cultural fair in order to look for areas for improvement. And our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 6th. Thank you so much for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Sid. Next up, Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you very much, President Carlock. I can't believe it's been 4 years. Sid, so I can remember when you came in as a freshman and you were here with us. So it is bittersweet to wish you congratulations on your future endeavors and that you're leaving us for college, and you've been like a 5th or 6th year high school because you've got so many credits that you've accumulated that you're going into college as what, a junior, I think? Or anyway, congratulations. Yes. You've been an amazing representative for the Youth Council, and we're sorry to see you go. Pick some good ones for us. I understand the application process has opened up for students who are interested in joining, so pick some good ones for us, Sid. Thank you. Yes, we're going to start an alumni association of the Youth Council so we can have him come back and talk about his HOA or something else in the community.
Or maybe sit up here.
Oh, yes, exactly. Ms. Bowen, could you share my screen, please? So as we're talking about community events that are coming up, I wanted to remind people about the Memorial Day Parade. It's up there, but not there. Okay. Memorial Day Parade. And remind council to make sure you put this on your calendar because the Rochester Hills Sister City Committee has been working with the Rochester Regional Chamber to create the Memorial Day Parade. So we hope that you will join us. For those of you in the community, the parade is sort of bookended by Rochester's event at the Mount Avon Cemetery. They have their service and ceremony there. The parade starts along this map that you can see on the screen. Starts up at their cemetery, comes down Harding, along Livernois, and ends at the Rochester Hills Veterans Memorial Point, where the mayor then will have the Rochester Hills ceremony for our recognizing our fallen heroes and commemorating Memorial Day. So I hope that if you're in town, to stop by and see the Memorial Day Parade. A couple other things. I'm good for handouts, so I have OPC. If you are somebody who likes to go to a fun event to support our Meals on Wheels program, the summer soiree, which is on Friday, June 19th. This year it is Feeling Groovy is the theme, but all the proceeds from that event supports the Meals on Wheels program. And while it's great to see so many students in our audience this evening, our community is also aging. So come join us at this event and help the older people in the community that need help with their Meals on Wheels. And the last one I have is the Rotary had their the library had their Wine, Wit, and Wisdom event on Saturday. I just want to do a special call out to the library for hosting a great event every year. The proceeds from this also benefits the library itself. If you are involved at all at going to the library, Friends of the Rochester Hills Library donate almost $200,000 a year to the library itself through events like Wine, Wit, and Wisdom, as well as their used book sales. So yes, some of us still use books as opposed to tablets or reading online, but they have a lot there to offer. And so thank you to the Rochester Hills Friends of the Library. That's all I have, President Carlock.
Thank you very much. Next up, Councilwoman Neubauer.
Thank you, President Carlock. Emma, can you share my screen? Okay. Is that something I'm doing? Okay. All right. So as Sid mentioned, we had our cultural fair on the 18th, and huge outpouring from the community, not only as people who attended, but also people who contributed. And we had so many cultures and so many of our residents. This was in front of my table. We gave out belly dancing lessons in front of Egypt's table. But so many residents were able to come, and I was really proud of our youth council. And I just wanted to brag a little bit about all the kids and the work they put into it. They had weekly meetings going up to the fair. As Ms. Mangioli mentioned, our kids are super accomplished. Sid is just, I don't care. He got accepted to U of M. He's going to be a doctor, and he's entering as a junior, and he's just as accomplished, and a lot of the other kids are accomplished. They are very accomplished in school and their extra activities, and then we are lucky to have them on youth council. So I'm really proud of them, and here they are all having they got turban wraps at the end of the event. So I'm sure there's better pictures coming from the mayor later, but these are just my cell phone pictures, and I just wanted to say how proud I am of you guys. You did an amazing job. Everything went off without a hitch. The food was outstanding, and just thank you for everything you guys did. That's all.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further council committee reports, we'll move on. Recognitions. Item 2026-0169, proclamation for the Stony Creek High School Girls Varsity Cheer Team, MHSAA Division I State Champions again. If council will join me in front of the podium.
If you're keeping track, I think Sid has 3 rounds of applause so far tonight. Not that anyone's keeping track of that, but it's Sid 3, Council 0. Just to Coach Williams, join me up here, please. First of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We know why you're here, for a very special opportunity for us to recognize absolute excellence in the community. And hopefully you're getting pretty familiar with this room too, because as 3-peat champions, we're really exceptionally proud to recognize your accomplishments. And we've learned over the course of celebrating the excellence in cheer in this community, how much this really means, that this is, 9 or 10 months of work year-round in preparation and practice and all the things that you do in order to get the accomplishment that you receive. But we're honored to welcome the Stony Creek team here and recognize your three-peat state championship. As probably all of you know, because I imagine you were the screaming fans that followed them in their journey. Our city has been absolute dominant. We're waiting for an ESPN 30 for 30 on how dominant the city has been with Stony Creek, Adams, and Rochester High School doing so well over really the last 2 or 3 decades and really being dominant. But who cares about the other schools? You are here to be celebrated tonight, and I don't say that very often. But I'm going to read this proclamation. Know that it comes with absolute pride. We're excited about this. We had all sorts of folks texting and from all the different schools. You guys super excited. The other parents saying they got ripped off. But I got a great text string from lots of parents from lots of all 3 of the school districts, and it is such an honor to be home to the 3-time three-peat state champions. I'm going to ask you to introduce the girls, the ladies, in just a minute. By the way, Coach Williams, I've had a podcast for 3 years. And we just got recognized for having our 10,000th download. In all 3 years, you know who is my most popular guest? This one. By far. It was, to be fair, it was all 3 coaches of all 3 teams, and it blew away all the other sort of B-list celebrities I've had. It was the 3 cheerleading, the 3 cheer coaches that really drove the rating. So let me read this proclamation, and then we'll invite the ladies up, and I'd sure like to have you say a word or two, and maybe your other coaches. This is a recognition signed by all members of the City Council and myself, recognizing Stony Creek High School's girls varsity competitive cheer team, 2026 MHSAA Division I state champions. Whereas competitive cheer is a high-energy, team-based performance sport that involves athletes performing elaborate routines composed of tumbling, stunting, pyramids, dance, and cheer segments. And throughout tireless effort and fierce competitive spirit, the Stony Creek Cougars rose to the top once again, claiming victory at the girls' competitive cheer Division I tournament and cementing their legacy with a remarkable 3rd straight state title. And where Stony Creek emerged triumphant on March the 6th of this year, edging out rivals Rochester by 0.42 points. You guys know these numbers by heart, don't you? And what'd you beat Adams by? 0.98 something. Yeah, that's it. Yep. 0.87 points in a fiercely contested state final. And whereas the 2026 MHSAA Girls Competitive Cheer Division I state champions, led by coaches Trisha Williams, Kayla Keenan, Angela Kashani Gravi, Andrea Carnes, and Mandy Schneider, hopefully I got those right, consists of the following Stony Creek High School athletes. I'll let you read the names of the ladies that are here, but I'd love to turn it over to you. And Coach, it goes without saying that probably none of this happens without your leadership, your dedication, putting the coaches together and creating a foundation for excellence. And so congratulations to you, and I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett. Thank you, Council. We don't take for granted that we get to come here and be recognized by you. It really is a great thing, especially after the 9 months that we did all work together for achieving that goal. A couple of things you might not know about this team. First of all, our support system is absolutely amazing. You already referenced our cheering section, but they are known all across the state as one of the best sportsmanship crowds that will cheer for everyone, and they cheer for us super loud and support us, so we can't do it without them. Our coaching staff is absolutely amazing and very deep in our knowledge and depth. We are lucky and blessed to be able to work as a team to support these kids and create the choreography that we put together. Some other things about this team, though, they are extremely special. We have a number of All-Americans on the team, a great honor that they earned last summer individually, some of them. We also have a team GPA of a 3.75 as an entire team, which a lot of people on the team that work really hard in the classroom and on the mat, which is extremely important. Additionally, a lot of multiple year state champions. It was not an easy road to be where they got. What I give them the most credit for is their resilience. We did not win a lot throughout the year. We did not. At district tournament, we came in second behind Adams. No, yeah, yep. At regionals, we came in second behind Rochester. And the first time we actually beat the other two high schools was at state finals, both of them in the same day. But their attitudes and the way they came back and worked hard, no matter what the outcome was previously, they just kept pushing forward and kept getting better and kept believing in themselves and in their team is what eventually made it happen for us. And they were very excited to be the first in the school history three-peat state champion. And it was our 5th overall for our program in our school. So we're super excited and proud of them and so thankful that you're taking the time to recognize them. So thank you very much. All right, I'm going to call them up now, and then you guys are going to walk up and shake their hands and try to find space to fit all of you up there. So the first one, okay, yes, absolutely. First one, junior Adriana Saglambeni. Next, junior Gianna Pereira. Freshman Lisa Ladewig. Freshman Adeline Fisher. Freshman Nora Marco. Sophomore Emmy Balestri. Sophomore Brenna Smith. Sophomore Kate Barros. Sophomore Kiara Nascimento. Sophomore Meredith DeGraw. Sophomore Kate Casey. Senior Cassidy Neester. Senior Kendall Keller. Senior Audrey Harvath. Coming along here. Senior Natalie Marco. Senior Lauren Clark. Senior Lily DiCarlo. Senior Lily Schultz. Senior Kelsey Phipps. Junior Izzy Williams. Junior Maya Shamier. And Junior Brooke Jeroma. Okay. Our coaches tonight, Coach Amanda Pieschek and Coach Kayla Keenan. Okay.
Yeah. As you guys slide up, I'll tell you, everybody slide up, we'll take one picture up here in our team. I'll tell the parents a funny story. So on the day that the ladies were heading up to finals, on the city sign on the city's Facebook page, we posted, "Congratulations, we know one of the Rochester teams will win." You heard about this? So I won't say what school called us, but it wasn't one of the three from out of the district that was also competing against you, and she was livid, would only talk to me. She was livid that we would have the audacity to post, not cheering for all the teams, but only for our teams. And she had some heated words for me, and I said, you know what, I appreciate your perspective. We're keeping the post up. We want one of our 3 teams to win. So that's it. Congratulations, and thank you, parents, for the role you play as well. Let's give them one more round of applause. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
They made the teens taller and taller every year. It's the hormones in the food. And they're all, like, my face hurts smiling being up there for 2 seconds. I can't even imagine being itchy
Well, that's a great way to start a meeting.
You should watch some of their videos. It's actually, like, super cool. And they performed, like the
I guess I
teams
just
were
thought
last-
they'd all stay, President Carlock.
The dance team, they performed at the...
Yeah, nobody wants to stay to hear about our concrete repair program?
Where'd everybody go?
You are Chopper. They're going to go watch the Pistons game so that they can text Bri. Yes. Everybody turn your phone over because he's going to start texting us at like 8:25 and say, move along. I'm sorry.
Well, that was fun. Next up, less fun. Consent agenda. All matters on the under consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. If any council member or citizen requests discussion of an item, it will be removed from consent agenda for separate discussion. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Blair. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. Next up, ordinance for adoption. Item 2026-0117, request for acceptance of second reading and adoption, an ordinance to amend sections 138-4.300, 138-4.404, 138-4.405, 138-4.410, 138-4.427, 138-4.437, 138-5, 138-5.100, 138-5.101, 138-12.108, 138-12.300, 138-12.301, 138-12.307, 138-12.308, 138-13.101 of Chapter 138, zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan. Whew, that was a mouthful. Chris.
Thank you, President Carlock, City Council members, Mayor Burnett. I figured I'd bring the tone of the room down just a little bit to talk about zoning now. Everyone's a little too excited, but no. So this is second reading of our annual housekeeping amendments for the zoning ordinance. So this pairs with the next agenda item as well. That's a regulatory ordinance, but again, they kind of came as a package. But as my understanding, Ms. Roediger was here at the last meeting to introduce the first reading. I don't think that there was anything too substantial that required additional commentary or clarification. So with that, I will be more than glad to answer any questions if council have them for this meeting.
All right, well, I don't see any comments from council. I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Ms. Menino. I'll read the ordinance here. Huh. Maybe I should have been gone for 2. All right. Request for acceptance of second reading and adoption, an ordinance to amend sections 138-4.300, 138-4.404, 138-4.405, 138-4.410, 138-4.427, 138-4.437, 138-5.100, 138-5.101, 138-12.108, 138-12.300, 138-12.301, 138-12.307, 138-12, 138-12.308, 138-13.101 of Chapter 138, zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan. Resolved at the, oh, I didn't have to read that. Resolved. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby accepts for second reading and adoption the ordinance as presented to amend sections 138-4.300, 138-4.404, 138-4.405, 138-4.410, 138-4.427, 138-4.437, 138-5.100, 138-5.101, 138-12.108, 138-12.300, 138-12.301, 138-12.307, 138-12.308, 138-13.101 of Chapter 138 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to reflect other proposed changes and to use standards as listed in other amendments to include EV fueling stations with automotive gasoline service stations, to add design requirements, and to delete the current automotive service center provision, to replace automotive service centers with animal cafes, and to add requirements for animal cafes, to allow for a potential reduction in the required setback for buildings, structures, if certain conditions are met, to reflect that places of worship or assembly may be permitted subject to certain requirements, to expand a utilities provision to include community facilities, and to add a provision to nonprofit organizations, to remove a caveat for front yard setbacks in the R4 one-family residential zoning district, to remove the option for a reduced minimum lot width and area in the R4 one-family residential zoning district, to require the developer to ensure a landscape bond remains valid throughout the development process, to add a provision to require a landscape buffer when a public or private road is proposed to be constructed parallel or generally parallel and within 20 feet of an exterior property line of a development. To add a landscape requirement for landscape islands and parking lot divider medians, to add a section foundation plantings and renumber current and subsequent sections, to add a requirement for foundation plantings, and to add and or amend the following definitions: automotive gasoline service station, automotive repair garage, automotive service center, community facility, industry, general, and state licensed residential facility of Chapter 138 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, and to ensure consistency across various ordinance sections, to repeal conflicting or inconsistent ordinances and prescribe a penalty for violations. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that one passes.
5 minutes to read all that.
I might still have jet lag after that. Next up, item 2026-0120, request for acceptance of second reading and adoption, an ordinance to amend section 122-367 of Chapter 122, Land Division of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to extend the length of preliminary condominium approval before expiration to 2 years from 1 year. Mr. McLeod.
I will first apologize due to the length of the previous title and the adoption process for that, but very good job reading that. I think you got them all in there. I was going to crack a joke that you may have missed one, but I thought you might really get upset. But with that, Section 122 of the ordinance, this is the land division section of our code that actually deals with site condominiums as well. To be consistent with our amendment that we passed last year, extending site plan approvals to 2 years, this also extends out preliminary site plan approval for a site condominium to that same two-year time frame. This is a second reading. Again, Ms. Roediger was here at the last meeting. I don't believe there was any major issues with the proposed amendment. This does come with a recommendation from Planning Commission with a unanimous decision, and I believe obviously you also unanimously recommended the first reading as well. So with that, any questions, I'll be more than glad to try to answer.
Thank you very much. I don't see any council comments or questions. I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli. This time I will only read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby accepts for second reading and adoption an ordinance to amend Section 122-367 of Chapter 122, Land Division of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Rochester Hills, Oakland County, Michigan, to extend the length of preliminary condominium approval before expiration to 2 years from 1 year, and to repeal conflicting or inconsistent ordinances and prescribe a penalty for violations. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you very much. Next up, public comment for items not on the agenda. I don't see any blue public comment cards or anybody approaching the podium, so we will close public comment. Next up, legislative and administrative comments. First up, Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you, President Carlock. So I hear from neighbors randomly about different issues that come before council or questions about what's going on with the city. And today it has to do with our having the assessing department come to our house and inspect it. This wonderful letter that says every 5 to 10 years we are required to come in and maintain accurate records. For your participation on an on-site inspection is voluntary. So I just want to let the neighbors know that this is, and Mr. Carlock said his subdivision got it last year. If you do get a letter from the city saying that they'd like to come and check out your house, you don't have to let them in your house. It's voluntary, but they will be walking around the outside of your house so you can see them, it's not just one of the water meter things where they're scanning it from the vehicle as they drive down the street. It is actually coming to the house. So it is legal, legitimate. It is not one of those scams that Mr. Blair talks about. And they will be wearing their city badge when they come and do this. So please just know that this is something that will be done. And while it says they're going to do this to update the records, it will not be done to raise your taxes. So just be aware that this is a voluntary piece on your behalf, and you do not have to feel obligated to let them in. But it is a true thing that's being sent around in your neighborhood. And that's all I have, President Carlock.
Thank you very much. I don't see any further council comments, so I'll pass it over to Mr. Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, and welcome back, President Carlock. Unfortunately, it looks like we had some problems with the screen during Bring Your Kids to Work Day, so you may have to look at this one, but of course our folks at home will be able to see it. A couple things I did mention in the last group that the podcast had the three coaches, but the popular podcast right now features someone else who's in the crowd, Tracy and Angela. Ironically, two female leaders who lead a very oftentimes male-dominated division in most communities sat down with me a little bit ago, and it's a great listen, talking a little bit about their career paths, their journeys, the technology we use, some of the projects coming up in the city, but it's also a great way to learn more about Tracy, which everyone should do, right, Tracy? So I encourage you to take a listen to that and get to know a little bit more of our team. Our next one coming up is with Captain Workman, which promises to be both embarrassing for him and informational for the council, so that should be fun. But thank you, Tracy and Angela, for sitting down and doing that. I will pile on the positive comments. I unfortunately was out of town and wasn't able to be there, but just absolutely incredibly positive comments about the work Sid, that you and your team did, supported by many council members who were there, and the city staff as well. This is not easy to do. This doesn't just happen. This isn't replicated in dozens and dozens of youth councils across the state. This is uniquely ours, and they did a fantastic job. We're really exceptionally proud. The location, from what we heard, worked very, very well. And just want to thank the Youth Council and their leadership team for the great job in hosting the Diversity Fair. Want to mention this. I think this is kind of an interesting story. I mention this mostly because the Community Foundation is an organization you should get to know. They gave out about over $100,000 in scholarships earlier this month. I have a scholarship that honors the memory of my mom, also one that honors the memory of my dad. But there are many folks that put scholarships out, and if you probably know, Sid, there's, I said probably 100, and you probably remember Ms. Mangioli from your time on the school board. This is a really great organization. If you want to do something to invest and give back in the community, this is a great way to do it. The picture on the right is kind of a fun one. I met this young man. He came up to me after receiving a scholarship, introduced himself and said, "Do you remember me?" And I kind of fudged and said, "You look familiar, but I don't totally." And he said, "When I was 8 years old, you let me sit in your desk and pretend that I was the mayor. And I thought, oh, that's a nice story. Thank you for saying that. I said, how do you remember that? He goes, well, it's been on my fridge every day since. And then he went home and took a picture of this picture of him that's been on his fridge since he was 8, 9 years before we took the picture above. And wish him well. He's headed off to college. And again, the fun stories, you never know, council, especially in your walks of life and who you meet, who you're going to impact and end up on a fridge someday. But certainly an unexpected story and one that was kind of fun to retell. Our Mayor's Business Council, in conjunction, our kind of our RISE organization, led by Pamela Valentek, hosted a Diversity of Thought Talent Forum. This is with all of the HR managers of the companies in our community and really connected them with the different skills and tools and resources that are out there, and uniquely had this at Dutton Farm to introduce them to the great work that Dutton Farm does, trying to connect farmers with opportunities at businesses in our community. And I love this because I know you all know about the great work that Jenny Brown and the team does at Dutton Farm, but a lot of these folks didn't. And you just saw a lot of eyes opening and going, oh, we've got a spot. We could find a location. We could really make this work too. And of course, they treated them like farmers. They fed the goats and the bunnies, and apparently a pig got loose. There was a whole story about the whole day, but it really credit to Pam, Sarah, and the team for putting together, Michelle, for really thinking this in a unique way. And again, a lot of times the city's job is just to connect partners, and this, I think, was really, really well done. The council should know that this went off so gloriously, wonderfully received that I couldn't imagine. Councilman Blair was able to be there because he's in the Rotary. Last Tuesday, we recognized the very kind work that the City Council did in renaming the Harding Green Space the Carvey Green Space. You see Jerry Carvey there with his daughter and his wife, surrounded by other members of the Rotary. Mr. Modet's there. Mr. Albert, you see, he was completely surprised. He had no clue. He was floored and was incredibly grateful. And I think this is a wonderful legacy to leave. And of course, when we posted this, a lot of people commented on the work and the influence that he's had, and really a nice moment to recognize one of our city's founding fathers on the first city council here in the city, and someone whose passion and legacy will forever be remembered as it relates to green space in this community. Just a recognition of one of the larger events in our community. We had over 900 people join us last Thursday at the prayer breakfast. A wonderful event. I think it's a really grounding event for our community, and congratulations to the planning team that put together, I think, the event flawlessly. Finding a speaker and all the logistics aren't easy for a group of 900, but really, really well done, and I'm proud to participate in that every year. That same day, Bring Your Kids to Work Day was a huge hit. This is one of the favorites of our team here. Our team puts together a really wonderful day where they get to do all sorts of crazy things that most people never get to do. And you see just a couple pictures. We'll put up a bunch more later this week, I think, when we put it up on the Facebook page. But they end at the Spencer at the lake. They go to the DPS garage. They spend time at a couple of the parks. They'd spend a ton of time here. We open up the doors and let them kick, run, paint, do all sorts of fun stuff, and it is a wickedly memorable day for both the students and the parents. And I just appreciate the team. Aaron from our team kind of led the effort, and really a wonderful event, and one of those things that keeps employees here is fun things like this, and maybe some of the other team members will tell you stories after. The next day, it was a really busy week last week, was Arbor Day, and our team went out into the community. We went out to a bunch of different third grade classes, passed out over 1,000 tree seedlings to third graders, and then of course we hosted a brownie troop out at the museum to plant a tree right there in front of the old Red House. But 36th year in a row that we've been named a Tree City, and certainly thank the Parks and Natural Resources team for the work that they do, and they were out in full force, and a lot of people know a lot more about trees today than they did last week. One big event coming up in a couple weeks, May 16th, is The Oak in the Hills event, if you look at all those things on the left, that's all the things you're going to be able to do and take a part of and be a part of. I was at this last year. It's an absolutely free event. So looking at, the community is always looking for things to do. And as you kind of start to launch towards what am I going to learn this summer? Have I always wanted to try pickleball? I want to learn kayaking. I've never been up a rock wall. Not too often can you get all those things in one place and do them for free. You can. Saturday, May 16th from 11 to 3 at Spencer Park. We invite the community out in partnership with Oakland County Parks. And then finally, we've talked a lot about Rochester schools, but we have an Avondale student, LaRue, whose work, this Google, is one of the finalists for a national competition. She's one of 5 finalists. You can vote through April 29th, so just through this Wednesday. She is, the QR code is there on the screen. You can also see it. I think we have it on our website, or at least on our Facebook page. We posted it. We wish her well, as she is one of the 5 finalists across the entire country for this Google Doodle. And with that, the last comment I would make is that the Pistons tip off in 20 minutes. Thank you.
We'll see what I can do about that. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next up, attorney's report. Ms. Christ.
I have nothing this evening.
Wow, you are a woman of few words. I like it. Next up, new business. Item 2026-0183, request for purchase authorization, facilities, blanket purchase order contract for HVAC preventative maintenance and on-call services in the amount not to exceed $210,500 through April 30th, 2027. K&S Ventures, Inc., Rochester Hills, Michigan, and W.J. O'Neill Company, Livonia, Michigan. Mr. Vyzanko.
Good evening, President Deal, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, Mayor Burnett. This, the item here is to execute the final 1-year extension of the contract for our HVAC preventative maintenance and services. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I don't see any council comments. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Ms. Neubauer. I will read this resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order contract for an HVAC preventative maintenance and on-call services to K&S Ventures, Inc., Rochester Hills, Michigan, and W.J. O'Neill Company, Livonia, Michigan, as the secondary vendor in the amount not to exceed $210,500 through April 30th, 2027, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Next up, item 2026-0192, request for purchase authorization, Parks Natural Resources, blanket purchase order contract for consulting services to update the Parks and Recreation Plan and development of the city's community stewardship plan services in the amount not to exceed $116,678. Beckett and Rader, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mr. Elwert.
Good evening, President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, Mayor Barnett. You have before you, as you said, a request for essentially 2 different plans, but joined together on some public engagement and some other similar items on this. One is the master plan for that we do every 5 years for the Parks Department that looks at capital and some other elements that will sort of bring all of our various projects together, but also allows us to apply for state grants. And the other one is a new stewardship plan. I appreciate the detailed questions that we got earlier that hopefully fleshed out a little bit more understanding and explanation of that plan. With that, any questions?
Thank you very much. We do have some questions from Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you, President Carlock. So thank you very much, Mr. Elbert, for responding on behalf of the Planning Department as well as the transportation, because I'd asked questions about the overall plan, though I know Ms. Balance is coming up for the next agenda topic. And President Carlock, I would like to add those questions to the minutes for today's meeting.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that. With the answers, so I asked about the process and the budget and how we're going to be doing all of this and the schedule, especially the communication out to the residents. And I'm curious about, because you've given us a schedule of May, there's going to be the kickoff, May to June, there'll be interviews, June to October, and then in February, there'll be open houses. Sid, you have a chance to come back in September to get the youth engagement, but it doesn't, I'd like to understand more about how we're going to reach the residents, and if you or Mr. McLeod can help me with understanding.
Sure, this will probably be both of us a little bit. And so, yeah, it's a complicated process in some cases, especially with a new plan. But, you participated in the public outreach for the strategic plan and master plan for parks that we did 5 years ago. And so many elements of that will be similar. Please feel free to jump in if I... But, there will be sort of focus groupy type of things, or bringing in, groups of residents. There will be a survey to sort of frame the larger issues on some of that, as well as a bunch of internal outreach, if you will, at the city council, the planning commission, to internal staff that's involved, the mayor's office, all that youth, bringing youth as well. And so it's really a cluster of a bunch of different things that get mixed together. And yeah, we want to dive in it right away, because there is sort of we're on a tight timeline for the parks plan, especially to allow us to apply for grants next April.
So because my understanding of the community stewardship program is to have the 3 master plans sort of dovetail to one another and enable, or did I miss something in this discussion? So, and because we didn't want to get the residents survey weary, and that we wanted to try and get them to, one event, and maybe can't handle planning and economic development with parks, with transportation, so that people could come to one meeting and handle a whole bunch of things. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah, I'll just go briefly and let Mr. McLeod speak to the rest. So originally, this was a much tighter process together, with all of the plans sort of going at once. The public engagement part of that is still sort of linked together, but the transportation plan is so unique that it was sort of split off in some of its other processes. And so that's the element that's together in this. So I'll let you.
And I think there's still going to be elements where these all kind of come together. And that's part of the reason why Beckett kind of rose towards the top of the selection process, because they were partnering with HRC. HRC is the selected consultant for the transportation plan. So you have synergy there between the consultants there, and the opportunity is there. So we're not making, as you said, residents another survey, another meeting. So whenever that opportunity arises, we will have those efficiencies. And not only is that going to help make our residents probably hopefully more active in terms of the process, but also cost effective.
Okay, because it's the outreach to the residents. I know we have a great distribution list for the residents in the Brooklands area because of the projects that went on there. But I have found we have a community that may not all be on social media, and trying to get many voices. I'd rather not have the same voices every time. I mean, it's great to have their participation, but to have more voices be heard. And so if we're relying on email, which is an opt-in, or social media, which is an opt-in, as opposed to maybe an insert in a water bill that says, come to our program on this day, so that everybody's getting their water bill, they would know that it's happening. So if there's some way that we can do outreach to our community beyond the social media, which is free, and email is low cost, no cost to us as well, but then we keep hitting the same group of people who have opted in, as opposed to the others who might say, well, I never heard about that program, why wasn't I asked?
And, some building on some of that, at least, and we'll use a similar process this time, the DNR requirements require some of that. And so I believe we put an ad in the paper last year, had these draft plans at the library, at City Hall, at a couple places around there. It doesn't 100% solve the problem that you're discussing. And we are looking at some possibly other ways that don't involve web surveys too. We'll have a conversation with a consultant when they assume it's approved tonight, and we proceed as to some ways to exactly address some of those issues.
And I think renewing our master plan and going back through it, I can't believe it's been 5 years since since I'm telling those people about where to vote their dots on the plan. So It's great that we're doing it again. I fully support having the consultant company that because we've used them before, so yes, very happy to see that. It's just a matter of that community engagement, making sure that we expand the base to have more people engaged in this process. With a tight timeline, it also means it's a tight window for us to reach out to people in our community. So thank you very much for all the work that you're doing on this. I will make sure I save dates on my calendar for being able to participate in all of these different activities where I'm allowed to be involved, and I don't fit into the youth group anymore. So, but if you had a senior group in here, I'd be right there. With that, President Carlock, I move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you very much, Vice President Mangioli. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Councilwoman Newbauer. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a blanket purchase order contract for consulting services to update the Parks and Recreation Plan and development of the city's Community Stewardship Plan services to Beckett and Rader, Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $116,678, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute a contract on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is item 2026-0193, request for purchase authorization, DPS Engineering, contract blanket purchase order for the city's transportation master plan update in a not-to-exceed amount of $179,500. Hubble, Roth & Clark Incorporated, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Ms. Ballant.
Good evening, City Council President Carlock, Vice President Mangioli, City Council, and Mayor Barnett. So Department of Public Services is here requesting City Council authorization to award the contract to HRC for an update to the city's transportation master plan. HRC was selected based on their institutional knowledge of the 2021 plan and their current management of the city's Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. So a lot of that information is going to overlap. So we really felt it was important to have HRC still involved, and it works out well as they're still involved with the other two plans as well. The proposed scope includes comprehensive data analysis, including road network update, traffic operations, and safety analysis. Again, a unified public engagement strategy coordinated with ongoing city planning efforts will be held. I have actually utilized the water and sewer bills a lot to notify the public, so that was something that I had thought too. And a lot of times if you use just 2 or 3 sentences with like a link, you're not paying for an additional, insert into the document. So that's definitely something we can look into. So with the final plan is anticipated to be completed by April 2027. So with that, I'd like to open to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. I will say a master plan is important. I happened to be driving on Adams today over by Marketplace Circle and saw a person using the new Hawk signal over there, and traffic was terrible and everybody stopped. So it is, safety is important, and our residents are paying attention. So we do have some council comments or questions here. Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you very much, President Carlock. So thank you very much, Ms. Ballant. And I asked to move this up on the agenda because of the Community Stewardship Program, and figuring that we were already talking to Mr. Elwert and Mr. McLeod, that I would talk to you and say, everything I said to them, I'm saying to you, and I don't have to repeat it, but it's a matter of that communication to the residents, that where we have engagement, that we get as many residents as possible and have their voices be heard. I will say, as a senior in our community and dealing with transportation, and we had the conversation at the last one of our last meetings about the striping in the roads, it's important for us to make sure that we're being responsive and receptive to the voices of our older residents as our community is aging, and address any concerns from the transportation master plan, especially if we're talking about walkability or expanding mass transit in our community, or looking at how it impacts development so that we can have places for residents to have a affordable housing near and a shopping center that they can walk to. So I want to make sure that we're having all of their voices heard, including Sid and his classmates that come back in September or other times during the year to have their voice heard as they're doing those motorbikes. And I need to talk to Mr. Vyzenko about the ordinances on those power scooters. But anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate it. With that, President Carlock, I move the resolution in our packet.
Thank you very much, Vice President Mangioli. I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Limburg. We do have some additional council comments and questions. Ms. Menino.
Yes, thank you, President Carlock and Ms. Bellant. This is just a follow-up question, more for informational purposes. Is this transportation plan going to encompass the Adams Road study, or is that a separate study discussion that's being worked on by a different group? I'm a little bit confused on what this covers.
Yeah, so that's a separate project, though that might be partially encompassed because it is a network, even though it's Road Commission Road, it is a separate project. It still will be looked at as a whole network, though there is a complete separate project that's looking at that. And that's HRC as well.
Okay, so it is both, HRC's doing both then?
Yes.
Adams Road, the major overhaul we're talking about in the future, and then they will be doing more of a transportation study for the entire city?
That's correct.
Is that it? Okay,
That's
thank you.
correct.
That was my question.
Thank you very much. So seeing no further council comments or questions, I have a motion by Vice President Mangioli, seconded by Mr. Limburg. I'll read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a contract blanket purchase order for the city's transportation master plan update to Hubble, Roth, and Clark, Inc., Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $179,500, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Next up, item 2026-0195, request for purchase authorization, DPS Engineering blanket purchase order contract for the 2026 concrete road and sidewalk replacement program in the amount of, sorry, it was, what number am I on? 195. $3,272,221.65, with a 10% project contingency in the amount of $327,222.17 for a total not to exceed project amount of $3,599,433.82. Quality Construction Corporation, Pontiac, Michigan. Ms. Ballant.
Thank you. So this request is for the 2026 concrete rehab program. We're requesting an award to Quality Construction. They're performing concrete road replacements across several local streets. This also includes the sidewalk replacement program, but the most exciting part about this project is that we are replacing 2 eastbound lanes at Hamlin and Crooks. So everyone's very excited about that. I will give you heads up that that intersection will be closed for a couple of weeks. So once we have a schedule at Crooks and Hamlin, we will let you know that. So with that, if you have any questions, please let me know.
It's awfully timely that we're doing this today because I had 2 residents ask me about it this morning. So we do have some council comments and questions. Vice President Mangioli.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Beland, I should have asked about this earlier, but with the transportation master plan and the fact that they're going to be evaluating our community, will they ever come back and possibly recommend concrete versus asphalt as part of that transportation master plan?
That's typically not what they look in at the master plan. They're usually looking at crash analysis, speeds, maybe even road widths, that kind of thing. It's not usually the material. If there's ever questions on material, usually we're looking at our geotech consultant to give us recommendations on that.
Okay. And then what would be the detour for the Hamlin-Crooks intersection? 59 Avon Road?
Yeah, 59. well, Avon, obviously, and then you would go down to Hamlin. They do, when we spoke with the road commission a couple months ago, and this was something they were very supportive of, is closing the intersection. You're going to get a better product, you're going to get it a lot quicker, and so all parties agreed to close the intersection. I know it's going to be a little bit of a headache, but in the end, it'll be a much better project and quicker.
So can we retime the lights on the detour route so that more traffic can get through? And the reason I ask is because last year, Tinkin Road was closed in Auburn Hills, and the detour traffic coming through there, we ended up having, the light could only get so many vehicles through, but they were detoured in there. So if we can retime the lights on the detour route to allow for the traffic flow to not be as slow, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I can reach out to the road commission and kind of give them heads up on that and see if they have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, because if it's going to be detoured to M59, then I'm going to find another way home. So, thank you very much, Ms. Bland. With that, President Carlock, I move the rest.
Thank you very much, Vice President Mangioli. I have a second by Councilwoman Neubauer. Seeing no further comments or questions from council, I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a contract blanket purchase order for the 2026 concrete road and sidewalk replacement program to Quality Construction Corporation, Pontiac, Michigan, in the amount of $3,272,221.65, with a 10% project contingency in the amount of $327,222.17, for a total not to exceed contract amount of $3,599,443.82, and further authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. And also, we will update the website so people can go on and look at where the construction happens regularly. I think that's part of our city website.
Yeah, and once we have a pre-com meeting, we'll have a better schedule too, so we'll be able to update that probably a couple weeks.
Perfect, perfect. Yep. Thank you, Ms. Ballant. Next up, item 2026-0196, request for purchase authorization, DPS Engineering, blanket purchase order contract for construction engineering services for the 2026 concrete road and sidewalk replacement program in the amount not to exceed $458,052, Spalding to Decker, Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Thank you. So this is for SDA, Spalding D. Decker, to provide construction contract administration, inspection, and survey staking for our 2026 concrete road and sidewalk replacement program. Some of you might recall, but they have done this for several years, multiple years on our concrete program, and they do a really good job. It's very valuable for the city. So with that, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Seeing no council comments or questions, I have a motion by Ms. Neubauer, seconded by Ms. Menino. I will read the resolution. Resolved that the Rochester Hills City Council hereby authorizes a contract blanket purchase order for construction engineering services for the 2026 concrete and sidewalk replacement program to Spalding D. Decker, Rochester Hills, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $458,052, and further authorizes the procurement manager to execute an agreement on behalf of the city. Further resolved that the city's acceptance of the proposal and approval of the award of a contract shall be contingent and conditioned upon the parties' entry into and execution of a written agreement acceptable to the city. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Looks like we're getting some new concrete.
Thank you.
That brings us to any other business? Seeing no further business before the Rochester Hills City Council, I have a motion by Councilwoman Neubauer, seconded by Vice President Mangioli to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. This meeting is adjourned. We will see you all Monday, May 11th, 2026, 7 p.m. right here.